Hey everybody, welcome to the Hell Road podcast, where we talk about unique and forgotten cars, road trips, travel destinations, automotive journalism, and our current car adventures. My name is Ethan.
My name is
my
Paul.
co-host is Paul. Yes,
Sorry,
there you are.
I
I'm just going to
jumped the
talk
gun.
over you. Oh my gosh.
It's just Topo Chico. I'm so wasted on the Topo Chico that
I thought we had a professional podcast here, Paul.
How many of these have you guys done? It's like your first one?
460.
This
Today,
is not Paul's finest hour.
No, it's not. Today, I guess I'll just go right ahead and introduce our guests since this is going so well so far. We have our friends from Radwood and also now Rad For Sale, Lane and Art. Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Good. I'm stoked to finally be on. I had to ask to be on, but you know.
Oh, I know.
We only invite Brads.
Yes.
That's part of the thing. You have to be named Brad.
I see.
Okay.
Only quality guests is what you're saying. the real good stuff.
Yeah, we were a little hesitant, for tonight, but I think we can make it work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
I listen to you guys a lot. So.
Oh, awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I listened to the rally one most recently, you know?
Yes.
It's one of those ones where I was screaming. I'm like, talk about Brad's shitty 912, please. No one ever mentioned like how bad it was. I was like, come on, Adam. Come on, dude.
What was it? What was it? You guys were talking about shitty cars?
No, they talked about rallies. So basically road rallies and stuff. And they mentioned like, you know, DWA rallies and stuff. And Adam went with Brad in the 912 one year.
Oh, right.
He went with the 944 one year, but he never mentioned what cars he was in and how bad the 912 was. And I was just waiting for it, and it never happened. I was so sad.
That's true. It never got brought up. And it's funny, too, because, I mean, I rode in the 912 the last time that I think we had Brad at Ethan's studio, and I was pretty impressed by it. But I guess, you know, my standards are kind of low. But you know, I was like, this is like the nicest thing I've ever been in. Had to turn on the fuel pump myself, and you know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dang, that's actually super offensive to Ethan because you've ridden in his Chevy Nova. You've ridden in his Probe.
I have not ridden in the Nova, actually. No.
Oh, really? Well, any of his cars are infinitely better than Brad's 912. So whatever, take your pick.
Yes, and all of my cars are terrible. So I don't know what that says about Brad's car. I don't know why Adam didn't mention it, but that was
sorry for derailing.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, we should talk about what you guys are doing now. I mean, because of this whole stupid pandemic, as my daughter likes to call it, Radwood it's just such a bummer for so many people. Like you had so much planned for last year, and then really couldn't really do much other than that virtual one, right?
Yeah, and even you know, it's been pretty sad. It's pretty sad because you know we're coming up on a year since our last show. I think it was the 29th of February, which was leap year, in Austin. And it was that day, and it's 25th today. So we're coming up on 1 year, and we had 2 shows already like fully booked with cars, you know, and we had to cancel those shows. And then obviously we had like another 8 to 10 shows planned for the year, and we didn't get to do any of them. And you guys didn't get to go to any of them, and you know. Yep. So yeah.
So you've had a lot of time to think about what to do.
Yeah, exactly. So now basically we, you know, we've thought about doing an auction site for a while. You know, Bring a Trailer's been the big fish in the pond, and we've kind of like talked about it, but we're so busy with shows. You know, we've been doing 1 to 2 shows a month for the last couple of years. Yeah. And now with this downtime, it's like we need to find a way to generate some income and keep this brand alive and going especially until we can, you know, do other shows too. And then so we're starting an auction site for 80s and 90s cars called Rad For Sale. And we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. When I first heard about it, I was like, that's a really cool idea because you already mentioned Bring a Trailer, but you look at Bring a Trailer and it's just become so absolutely massive but the gamut of cars goes from the first car to like the people that are auctioning off the brand new, what was it, the Dodge Ram that just came off the production line. It's like somebody bought it and then they put it up on the thing. It's like, so I guess you could say something for everyone, but this is just more right to the core audience of Radwood, obviously with the name Rad For Sale too, of course. So with the 80s and 90s cars, so it's awesome. So
yeah, I'm sure I could speak to it too, but it's like one of those things where, I think we have a voice and we have a following, and we see ourselves as like kind of the face of the 80s and 90s car culture at this point. And it's like a lot of people refer to this era of cars as Radwood era, and we feel like I don't know, we just feel like we can be very successful in this space, and I don't know, and it'll build off of our shows too, and our shows will build off it, and it'll be a really cool thing.
Yeah. So, what are some of the cars that you've got? I mean, you've got a bunch of cars that are going to be on the site right away. I've seen a couple of them on social media, but why don't you tell us a little bit about like what you have planned to launch when you launch, and what are you launching March 1st? That's the plan.
We are planning to launch on March 1st. We have a small curated group of cars that we're launching with, and then we're going to be opening it to the public to submit cars after that point. We also have some other cars lined up. I know Ethan is in line to put a couple cars up. We're trying to help his wife out. She actually contacted us and said, come on, do this, guys. Let's sell them all. So we're going to try and get Ethan to sell every car he owns. Maybe you can keep one or two.
I think that might not be good for the Radwood brand, though, considering the quality of cars that I have available at my disposal.
That would be actually a really funny lot, right? If we really publicize it as like a lot, and you have the overhead photo, and
yes.
like the whole thing, like it's
like you have to buy every car.
Yeah,
like now.
This collector has amassed this amazing collection of crappy cars, basically.
Yeah. I think Art might be muted. Are you muted, Art? Yeah, we can't hear you. We can edit this part out to make us seem like we're professional, but
yeah, totally.
It says for your microphone, it says default POS headphones, your piece of shit headphones. I guess that might be the problem. No, we still can't hear you.
Yeah, so we do have some pretty rad cars coming up. We have an excellent mix that I think really represents what we're about, like the whole Radwood thing, not only just the Rad For Sale site. It's a mix of very rare and unique stuff and kind of low mileage, interesting, semi-interesting stuff, depending on how you want to call it. But one of them being 1985 Plymouth Colt GTS Turbo, right? Which is right up I think that's right up your alleys, plural.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Captive import, very, very, very rare car, simply because they weren't, they just weren't really preserved, right? I mean, they're
yes.
But it's just a funky little hatchback. I don't know, Lane. Can we call it a hot hatch? Is that too generous?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Is
can.
it hot?
Well, back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Turbo, 1.6 liter turbo, 4-cylinder, 5-speed hatchback. It's got spoilers. It's got a cool air dam, built by Mitsubishi, and really rad interior. I mean, it's got the crazy, triangle confetti type like door panels, and of course, it's got like this, the fancy steering wheel. It's like a really trippy, like 2-spoke kind of steering wheel that says turbo all over it. And and it's actually not a super slow car, in period. I think it was pretty quick. It's a little over 100 horsepower, more torque, but it weighed like 2,100 pounds or something like that. So like reasonably decent. And I actually didn't know this because, it's one thing you can find quoted numbers in period or whatever, but someone commented when we posted it on Instagram that in period, some guy actually used to be a salesman at Dodge, and they used to race them with the Shelby GLHSs. And then and apparently these cars were faster. So I don't know I don't know in what environment, or if it was a full 0 to 60 type deal or full mile race or whatever. But whatever, not necessarily why you would want to buy this car, I imagine, but it's just a cool, unique, like interesting example, right, of the era, and that's what we seek out. And we also have a beautiful like 1986 57,000 mile 944 turbo and slate gray with a burgundy interior, like extremely well kept, nice driver condition car. And then of course, like the kind of our halo car for the launch is the Turbo Cup 944, which is a 1988 944 turbo built specifically for the Turbo Cup series in Canada. And it's one of 39 cars, race car, but streetable, apparently street legal in many states in this country. So it's pretty rad. But the cool thing about this car is that, they made 39 of them. This is by far the raddest, right? It's like neon green with yellow, and it's got Reebok liveries. So it's got Reebok all over it. And it's just super, super rad, super cool. And then we also have a 1994, or is it a 95 Honda Del Sol, one owner, minty, manual SI, Captiva Blue Pearl. It's got the fancy, crazy, what do you call it? The swooshy floor mats that match the interior with like blue accents and, just fun, rad stuff. And we've got a motorcycle up there. It's an RZ 350 Kenny Roberts edition, which is the last street legal 2-stroke sold in the US. And I think it's a street legal sport bike. Some people are saying that you can get other types of bikes or whatever, but then there's a set of like really, really minty Dodge Viper wheels, like takeoffs from a 1994 that are super clean. So that really kind of gives you a sense of the type of stuff we're going for. And it's all about the era. So not necessarily just vehicles, like it is going to be vehicle centric, especially initially, but we're going to sort of sprinkle in kind of cool, noteworthy stuff, right? Like a set of Viper wheels or like really cool, like new old stock Recaro seats, or like just like a cool pattern of Recaro seats, even, BMX bikes, like a super cool BMX bike would be fine, and this is a curated site. So we encourage everyone to submit what they have, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll end up on the site. The whole point is that we're trying to find stuff that people would find interesting and cool and rad, right? Just like our shows, we have a lot of interest in our shows. We're pretty inclusive, but we try to get a good mix of stuff, right? So we don't like redundancy, if it's the same car and like that type of stuff, right? So we try to mix it up. But yeah, we encourage everyone to apply. Just because you have, because it's a 1989 Acura Integra LS, like that's cool. Like we love that kind of stuff, and just because you see maybe a ZR1 in there, like don't be discouraged, we like it all. And we're flexible too, like Ethan's cars, as he was describing, they're projects, right? And we'll present them as such. But they're cool cars, right? So we can present them as a project, no reserve. We're doing reserves and no reserves on our site. Oh, cool. And people like that kind of stuff, and there are a lot of folks who are seeking out, deals and projects and things of that nature. So it brings a good mix to the site.
Yeah. And that's actually, specifically, and for me, I'm thinking about my own crap that I need to get rid of. It's kind of nice that you are open to things like projects, because there are, other competitor sites they wouldn't be. And I think it's nice that, there's plenty of cars out there from this era that that people want to preserve. Maybe they haven't quite gotten them to the point where they want them to be, but there's going to be people out there that are interested in that stuff. And it's nice to see that you guys are open and a little bit more inclusive than some of the other guys that are out there. Mm-hmm. And I can also tell this is going to be a problem for me because I can basically see myself selling some stuff off there and also buying some stuff. So
same day.
Yeah, same day. If I could just trade my 85 Galant for that Colt Turbo, it's not going to be a straight trade. I'm very sure.
Now that sounds like a business proposition, right? It's like almost like you have like the trader section, and then we charge a fee for facilitating the service, and it's like. Yeah, there's like we'll call it like Trader Bay, or something. And you go over there and it's like, hey, I'll swap you by whatever. But yeah, I mean, that guitar back there looks pretty decent, Ethan. Maybe we can make a deal for my wheels in the garage or something.
There you go. I mean, it is a 90s guitar, so it fits.
There you go. But yeah, as Lane mentioned, the one key component of this all is that it's part of a kind of a bigger ecosystem of things, right? It's all part of the Radwood brand. And so the goal is to, let's say we're going to be in Detroit next month, big show there. We'll say, hey, we're going to have 18 cars that are listed on Rad For Sale that will be in your region. Like they're going to be at the event. We're going to have a cool curated area for them. come and check them out in person. You can talk to the owner or the facilitator, the seller, and that's an opportunity to actually engage and see the car in person. Whereas like you don't really have that opportunity with a lot of these online auction sites, right? And on top of that, it's a really cool environment, right? You're at a party, you're at a festival. It's not like you're going to meet some guy at a I was gonna name a grocery store, but everybody all over the country has different grocery stores.
Yeah, they're all different. You could also look at it like, if say Ethan was at the show and he saw 18 cars that are going to be or currently listed on Rad For Sale, when that car comes up to auction 2 weeks later, he can be like, I saw this car at Radwood, Detroit, and it was super clean, or it had a big rust bubble in the back, and so there's a lot of that, like being able to expose these cars to people brings out the community to talk about them, right? And there is going to be that, like most of the other auction sites, there's a chat feature to our site and stuff. So there will be ongoing conversations about all these cars, I'm sure, about people's grandmas and uncles and sisters and cousins that once saw one in a parking lot somewhere.
Sure.
But we definitely want to involve the community that way, right? And on top of that, it's really kind of making sure that our site is very easy to use, very clean, present. You see the stuff that is important very quickly and easily, and make it accessible. And you guys will see that with the UI, and we've spent a lot of time on that. And we're, as a matter of fact, buttoning up right now. We're right before this call, Lane and I were working on the details, and we want it to be as good as it can be, at the start here. And, we basically studied everything out there. We have our own kind of, approach to stuff as well. So we sort of studied everything out there. We took what we like, we got rid of what we don't like, and then we sort of added our bit to it, right? Our approach and our aesthetic and whatnot. And we're pretty excited to show it to the world. I think people will really dig it.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. And, I was thinking about how, when you guys first announced this thing, I was thinking about how there's a lot of competition in this space. There's Cars for Bids, you got Bigger Trailers, other things that are coming out now. But hearing you guys talk about it and how it's going to be tied to the shows and how it's going to be just, lifestyle products too, not just cars. I can see BMX bikes and boom boxes and that kind of thing. It definitely seems like there's a really cool niche that you guys are going to create for yourselves. So,
for sure.
So I'm totally looking forward to it.
Yeah. There's also going to be a big editorial component to this all, and it's an opportunity to really kind of be a destination for cool content, but also to educate people and to talk about, for example, that whole Plymouth GTS thing, like the turbo, we threw it up on Instagram and it got, thousands of likes and tons of comments, but a quarter of those people said they didn't even know it existed, right? So this is an opportunity to talk about the whole captive import stuff, the Mitsubishi Dodge partnership, and how that led to DSM. And so it's cool stuff, cool stories about the era. And, that also adds value to all the cars that fit that category when they do get listed, right? So it helps everybody out, both from a knowledge standpoint, and also, it does make things sell well and better. So,
sure.
But it's not just going to be cars. We'll talk about just cool stuff of the era, right? It could be, there's an opportunity for music, there's fashion, there's pop culture, there's, I was eating Cocoa Puffs the other day, and I was thinking about all the cereals.
As you do.
Just all the cereals you had as a kid back then, and the stuff that was on the back of the boxes, and some of them had prizes, and just all this, all that kind of cool stuff that, really evokes a lot of nostalgia and that people are super into right now in our generation.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm totally looking forward to this. And it's, like I said, it's going to be a problem for me. So screw you guys for creating this site, because it's going to cost me a lot of money.
I appreciate that positive sort of outlook on it. Some people are concerned that we're going to go out there and inflate values and all that stuff. And it's it's a tough thing, right? I mean, it's the way we see it is we're just like when we started Radwood, it's a place to appreciate something that didn't have a place to be appreciated, right? And so this is now a place where people can actually, yes, there's values will be elevated because there's more people that see these things and they're going to be more visible. But it's all positive at the end of it, right? It's it's just I understand how it could be a tricky thing, right?
Well,
it gives people a chance to get the best cars possible to the car they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It also, I think, a lot of it for me is I'm always a fan of, I've never spent tons of money on old cars or anything like that, but it's like it does validate your purchase and also makes it worth fixing these cars up, right? It's saving these cars in the long run, really, because so many cars, it's like I've been into 944s and like these underdog Porsches for several years. I had 914s back in the day. I've had tons of 944s. It's like a lot of those cars are they I've cut up so many 914s in my day, Sawzalls, and now they're actually worth money where they're not worth cutting up, they're worth fixing, right?
Sure.
And that's something that's like saving that car and actually like making these cars, it's making it so there's way more nice ones available and just around for people to see. And same with 944s are getting to that point too, where forever it was like, oh, the clutch went out, it's not worth fixing. Right. We'll just throw this in a yard somewhere. Now you're like bringing these cars to the forefront and, they're going to be more valuable, but that also makes them worth spending money on and worth, keeping on the road.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, with my Galant, I know that no matter what I put into it, I'm not going to make out of it. There's just not enough people that are interested in a 5th generation Galant. But, if more and more people start appreciating these kind of normal cars and these kind of utilitarian cars over the time, they're going to realize, oh, wait, we should have been saving some of these because this is the last one left,
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you think about the $50,000 Civic Si that sold on Bring a Trailer. That's certainly an outlier. I think people are worried that all Civic Si's are going to be $50,000 now. It's like, no, you can still find deals on Facebook Marketplace and offer up. Yeah. And if you really want to dig, you can do that. I think the benefit of these auction sites is that it kind of just makes it, you're getting the best example. You're getting it's easy for you. You're going to get one that somebody had put a ton of time into.
Yeah.
It also gives you a fair shot at getting a car. I've had it so many times where it's like, oh man, I want to I jump on a car and it's like, sorry, car's sold. And this gives you a fair shot to get the car that you want to get. And I think all auction sites do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a nice thing, because a lot of times you're like, okay, I'll drive 2 hours to go look at that car. And then you get the call when you're 10 minutes away. Oh, sorry, it's sold. Or you show up and, oh yeah, this guy just bought it.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting. Like your Galant, for example, Ethan, like it's a very, very niche car in a way, but I think, oddly enough, like I've noticed a movement of people in Japan importing back like these cars that they, like from the 80s that are just, super rare and obscure and like they, exported in period. And they really don't exist there because there was no system in place to incentivize keeping old cars on the road, right? There's something called the Shakin system, which is like a way more strict version of the MOT that, that's why you get all these JDM motors that have 40,000 miles on them because they pull the cars off the road and just get a new car, So, and so like I've seen like Nissan pickups in Japan and like people are importing A86 Corollas and bringing them back, into Japan and the US market cars have like this sort of appeal that even the JDM cars don't have. So they're more valuable because they have the US bumpers and like the US stickers and like, so it's just kind of a trippy thing. And I can see that happening and I hope to do that, like I was on the phone today with a JDM exporter based in Japan, and he's going to send stuff over here. But we were having this conversation about like, hey dude, like keep an eye on this page because there's going to be stuff that I think you're going to be able to sell to your people, because he finds, he knows collectors, right, and stuff. And he's like, hey, you know what? Like I can help arrange for those types of transactions to happen. So it's kind of a trippy thing that's happening right now in the world. Same with Germany. People are buying US spec R107s and like E34 M5s and like all that. That's going that way.
Yeah. Almost all our R107s are all going back over to Europe. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
I had no idea about that.
They're all rusted over there too. So you buy a California car and you bring it back there and that's another car where it's now worth fixing.
Yeah.
Up, forever.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole Radwood, movement, if you will, right? It's the appreciation of these things and it goes down to super like crazy details. We've been in this whole tire kick thing where it's like, dude, like we're becoming like the the 60s and 70s cars that you have to buy tires at Coker for, right? Because they just don't have the right sizing anymore. And it's like, dude, we're like talking to manufacturers, trying to like get them to understand that there's a big movement now. People really appreciate like originality and getting the right sizing and of stuff. And it's a tough conversation, but we're trying really hard to like have them acknowledge that there's a big opportunity here, you know, for this whole thing. And again, because these cars are now appreciated and they're worth fixing and making period correct and all that. I call so even before I met Lane, like, you know, Lane's had, you know, he's got some history with 928s, but the whole like not being worth fixing thing, I used to call that the 928 effect, you know, because like 928s at some point were just totally like not worth fixing, right? Like when, you know, this is, I want to say 2009, I was with, I don't know if you've met Ruben, he's been on our rallies and stuff. We used to work together at GoPro back in the day, and we started the GoPro Lemons team, 24 Hours of Lemons team together. And we were looking for cars to buy. And, you know, we went and test drove a $500 928 with BBS RSs, manual transmission.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, it just had crazy oil leaks. You know, it had the radiator was clogged. It was kind of, you know, like it's just stuff like this, you know, and it was like a pretty decent car, like no rust, straight San Francisco car since new. And we passed on it because we ended up using a Subaru Legacy wagon for some reason. But it's like, this is only 10 years ago, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I think the one other thing I really like about, you know, obviously some of the prices might go up a little bit, but the fact that you get more and more people that are interested in saving some of these cars, hopefully fewer and fewer of them are going to go get crushed and go to the junkyard. And I think that's the thing. That's why people don't know about this Colt turbo. You know, that's why I haven't seen a 85 Galant in 25 years, you know, just because. And it's funny, even the 928, a Porsche, a car that you think somebody should care about. There's plenty of those that just nobody cared about. But yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like at some point, that car was not worth $500, and there just was no market for it. So yeah, it is. You know, I think that you have to take the you know, maybe slightly higher prices of these cars, but also know that, you know, more of these things are going to be on the road, and we'll be able to appreciate them well into the future. So
yeah, and it also like it, you know, with more interest, it also makes it where aftermarket companies will create more parts for these cars and things like that, right? So they'll make it a little, and maybe not your Mitsubishi, but because, but you know, a lot of these cars, like a Porsche 928, for instance, like Porsche Classic is definitely like noticing that, and now Porsche Classic is making stuff for 993s already, and you know they're definitely, they appreciate their older cars.
Yeah, like Daihatsu is totally doing the charade thing right now.
You can send it back to Japan and they will fully rebuild it perfectly as it would come out of the factory, and it's free for anybody that's still has one. So
it's like those 240Zs they did back in like 2000.
Right. Isn't there like a cottage industry right now in Japan where they're doing like a Singer style Daihatsu charade? It's like they're all like carbon fiber body panels.
Yes,
like, you know,
it's amazing. It's
baseball glove leather interior.
Just as it was intended to be from the factory.
Exactly.
Yes.
The funny thing is, though, is that we're joking about it, but I'm pretty sure that you, especially in Southeast Asia and countries like that, like you can find everything for your car. I bet, like it's
you can.
Yeah, it's like super common, right? Like
I just got a part for it today in the mail, and it didn't fit. But hey, I got a part for it in the mail today from Southeast Asia.
There you go.
So it's got to go back. And I got other parts they're actually coming from Germany for the car, but that's a whole other story.
That's weird.
It is very weird, but they're the only place that had it. So, but no, that's the thing. There all the other markets and looking at like how you touched on with the people buying them back, like I can just see the Nissan hard bodies going back over to Japan and the R107s. It's just crazy to think that on our end of it over here, we're all like, we want to do European style turn signals on the E30.
Right.
You know, do a Japanese front bumper on an Integra, but it's just over there. It's completely different.
It's so weird.
It's weird. I think, I don't know. And then like buying back, Ethan's Galant and sending it back to the homeland, because all of them got chopped into thirds and the engines came over, that's just,
and it's the same exact thing that we're experiencing here, though, right? It's the nostalgia thing, and like it's a generational thing. Somebody grew up with that car or had one in period, all that, and they just don't exist there anymore, and they're willing to pay a premium to take it home, or a premium for So Ethan's car is going to be around $7,500, right, Ethan? that'll be the premium.
I hope so.
But it's just interesting how there's this weird kind of psychological the grass is greener thing too. Like as you're saying, like I'm seeing really, really weird stuff. Like there's this guy on that I follow on Instagram, and he has a JDM spec A86 Corolla, and he imported US spec bumpers, which are awful. And replaced his really nice, neat, trim JDM bumpers because he wanted the US spec car. And his car wins all the awards at the A86 shows. He has a shit ton of trophies, and like people love that car because it's different, And he's got it doesn't have like Treno or Sprinter or Levin stickers. It's all Toyota Corolla GTS, which is what we call it here.
Kind of makes sense. You could see them also like buying a car here because it has leather and all those options, where all their cars had cloth and doilies on the seats, right? And that's why we think they're cool, because they're different, right? And then they want them because they're like, oh man, this thing has leather. Like we never got these with leather.
Right.
I think there's a new site here. I think there's got to be the like Rad for Trade, like just
swap.
Yeah, I want a Pulsar GTIR. I'll send that to me. I'll send you my my Nissan 200SX SER because they didn't get those over there. So
comes with some free stickers.
Free Liam Neeson stickers, yes.
What about the Stanza? I actually don't know. Did they make that in Japan or sell it there?
Yeah, it was called the Prairie. Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful name.
And actually, again, that's one of those things where the US version looks terrible compared to the JDM version because of the bumpers. Like the JDM Prairie actually looks pretty sweet. I've seen a bunch of them slammed to the ground. That's not usually my thing, but they look pretty rad slammed.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Prairie.
Yes.
There's so many fun names over there. Like there's a That's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's with the apostrophe. Was that who made that? I can't remember.
Was it a Toyota or a Honda That's? I can't remember.
Oh, jeez.
There's of course.
I do remember
the Honda Today. Of course, everybody knows the Honda Today.
The Today.
Yeah. There's like a Mazda Bongo or something weird like that.
Bongo. The Bongo. Yeah. There's so many crazy names over there, and every company has at least one car with a crazy name over there.
Yeah.
The Daihatsu Naked. That's the name of one of their cars.
That's awesome.
The Naked. Yeah,
that's great.
That's good.
That's great / awful.
Right.
I'm picturing it. It's like my mind goes straight. And Lane would probably know the color. I don't know what the color code is, but there was a really ugly tan metallic beige color that came on 996s on the early cars. You know what I'm talking about, Lane?
Oh,
it's like a skin tone kind of. It's like
really bad. Yeah, it came on the 99 996.
That's what I think of a Daihatsu Naked would look like.
It's just the skin. That's
it. Yeah, it's just flesh color. Also known as the Flash.
Flesh edition.
The Flesh edition, yes. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Tons of fun names of the cars over there. And
yeah. So stop. Well, you won't bring that up anymore, Paul. No. I think that's elicited some kind of weird images in my mind.
Like
I don't even know what the car looks like.
If it had pop-ups, you got to leave them down at all times. Otherwise, that would be that's a little bit too risque.
Too risque. I don't even. I think it's some K car. I think, and I don't know. I think it has the panels just look like they're like there's no door skins on them, so it kind of looks like a tank. Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Well, there's that one. What was it? Is it like the Rashid or the Banshee? You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like it looks like a little like an H1 Hummer, but it's got the weird doors, like a cactus, like a Citroen cactus. It's called like the Nissan Rashid or Banshee or something like that. You guys,
I'm not sure.
But yeah, there's so many weird names.
Yeah. Well,
we'll have to make sure you get some of those up there.
Yeah, I was going to say that so that's the thing I was going to ask you guys about Rad For Sale. So it's not just going to be for the United States. If it could be worldwide, if you've got something in Brussels or something and you're looking to sell it and you want to give Rad For Sale a try, you guys can do that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're not facilitating like the transaction in terms of payment, right? Like we're the platform where people can interact, and as we talked about, we build a cool ad and we have the community educate people about the listing. But the actual transaction is between the buyer and seller, and we'll help guide people. But otherwise, it's up to them. Like in the case of the exporter guy, like he's got a lot of experience, and I would be willing to share that in the listing. It's like, we talk about the car and say, hey, by the way, this is whatever the dealer, and like he's had experience dealing with brokers. Feel free to ask him any questions about that. He has a lot of experience in that department and bringing in cars or exporting cars to different countries, right? And so just to help kind of ease people's minds. And now that we're talking about content and copy in the listing, like we're also taking a different approach than what you see out there. A lot of people are trying really hard to be objective about their listings, and like I think there's a missed opportunity there to not necessarily be super flowery, but like talk about why the car is rad, right? Like there's objective information out there. It's like there's a certain number of them, or this color is rare because it is, or this is associated with a specific Formula One driver or motorcycle racer or whatever, right? So that type of stuff, and then you can get into the nitty gritty and the standard, whatever, like the mileage and the metric and the the stats and specs and stuff like that. Condition. But like, so that's something we really want to leverage is like, just kind of talking about why stuff is rad, and if it's on our site, it should be, right.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be doing the I guess the write-ups for each and every one of these things, or is it going to be something that the seller would provide? How is that gonna work?
Well, yeah, we'll ask for a lot of information, but we're gonna actually write the ads for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So how much does it cost to list a car?
So yeah, we have different pricing for no reserve and reserve auctions. For a standard listing, it's $85 for reserve. It's $45 for no reserve. And we do have a royalty section, and you guys have been to Radwood, so you know what a Radwood royalty section is. So this is something that's unique to us, and at Radwood, we created a space that is very hyper curated with like really the icons and the really rad stuff of the era. And for people who haven't been to an event, and it's a different experience. It's usually the most photographed. It's where we kind of try to create cool like backdrops and clusters of cars, right? Like contemporary rivals and things like that. And so that gets a lot of visibility. And so we're taking that concept and applying it to the website. So the first thing you see when you land on Rad For Sale is the royalty stuff, like really big up top, is going to be very limited. We're not going to have hundreds of cars there. We're going to try to keep it tidy so that they get a lot of exposure. And also those cars are guaranteed social media exposure too. Like, at some point, we're not going to be able to list every car and pump it on Rad For Sale or Radwood. So those cars are guaranteed visibility there. Those listings are $125. So it's a $40 premium, if you will, but it's going to get you a lot more exposure. And also it is part of our brand, right? It's a branding thing. So, it's people want to go see, hey, what's in royalty today, and it becomes a destination to see what kind of cool stuff is in there. And just as an example, the 944 Turbo Cup car is going to be in there, and so is the Plymouth Colt GTS Turbo. These are cars that are roughly $100,000 apart, but like it's it's not the value is sort of irrelevant. It's all about the rad factor, right? And whether it's cool. So people can submit their car if they think it's a cool, rad, rare, unique car, regardless of value, right? So we don't want people to think again that it's not worthy of that space,
Yeah, and sometimes rad and unique could just mean that it's like the only surviving example that's this nice, right?
Yeah,
right. Sure.
Or like it could be a Geo Metro convertible that has like 5,000 miles on it. Like that would definitely be a royalty car.
Yeah.
Or like at our one of our NorCal shows, there was a Geo Metro convertible with Dayton's and it was painted purple, and that could be a royalty car, right? And that was a royalty car at a NorCal show we had sitting across from a Ferrari F50. which is also a royalty car.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that Geo was awesome.
Oh yeah, you were there.
So
you won Radis dressed at that event.
Yes, I did win Radis dressed there.
remember.
I generally dress like that, actually.
Yeah. That was just your. You should describe your outfit. You were all out. No, you weren't Slash. Who were you?
Yeah, I was just random.
Rock and roll.
I was generic '80s rock and roll guy with my lime green fluorescent guitar and boots. And I went all out, and I definitely hurt after that, after wearing those boots all day.
And I have to say,
it was worth it though.
I think for your audience and just for the world out there, Ethan always goes all out. Like he's always done a really, really good job of like just being a standout like cosplayer at our events.
Is that a compliment?
I know. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing, right?
I don't remember what you were in Atlanta, but you were wearing something that was it was not appropriate for how hot it was.
Oh God, that was the Pac-Man suit. It was polyester. Yeah, it was super humid. Right. It was like 1,000 degrees out there. That was awful.
And that's what I was getting at when with the whole you were talking about comfort, right? Like he definitely is willing to sacrifice comfort for looking as rad as possible, And I think every outfit you've had has either been extremely hot or killing your feet or
and it's
whatever.
And it does. It's not just the fashion. It's also the cars. I sacrificed my sanity, by owning a 1997 Ford Probe GT or a 85 Mitsubishi Galant. Yeah, it's the whole package.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes, it's a terrible, terrible lifestyle.
So I don't know where this came up. I don't know if we were on a podcast recently or I was talking to someone. Or was it on our own podcast? I can't remember because I was talking about you and listing the Probe and the Galant, and I mentioned that a goal though is going to try to reel that Chevy Nova out of your hands because I was thinking that is like impossible for you, right? Like that is your baby, it seems. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but
yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think I could get rid of that one. I love that car. It's so stupid to love that car because it's like intrinsically it's not really that much special to it, but just the combination of like missing out on it when I was young and, the fact that it's kind of rare and kind of weird, like all that stuff together, just for me personally makes it a little bit hard for me to let that one go. So,
I mean, I think it's, I'm just telling you now, man, it's a Radwood royalty candidate. So if you're considering it.
Wait a second. I thought the Probe was going to be Radwood royalty. Wait, this is a bait and switch.
Yeah, it is. How's that thing going? I mean, I know you were tinkering away on it. Is it looking better?
Oh yeah, actually, Paul. Yeah, sort of. Paul and I were talking about that or right before we guys came on. I got the check engine light to not flash anymore, so it's no longer like a catastrophic please stop driving issue. There's this car, it's got that transverse V6 just crammed into the front of this car. There's very little space. You need basically extremely small hands to be able to work on this car. But I replaced 4 solenoids, which actually got the check engine light to turn off, which was really good. Mm-hmm. However, I think in the process, I accidentally unplugged a couple vacuum lines. So it's getting slightly better. It's not quite there yet. Yeah, but I would say hopefully by the time it's listed, it'll at least it won't have the flashing check engine light. I'm aiming for it to have no check engine light, which would be awesome. But knowing my skill set and collection of cars, that the chances of that are very slim. So we'll have to decide if this is going to be project like in all caps and bold or
Or in,
I almost want to like.
Is that that's same as the Mazda MX-6, right?
Yeah, it's the engine is the same. I think the suspension was a little bit softer on the MX-6, but yeah, in general, it's the same platform. Yeah,
gotcha.
And those they actually. I mean, I don't know about a Probe, but the MX-6 I recall was like raced, right? It was campaigned in certain series, and I remember seeing it in livery and period. I can't remember where, but it was like I don't know if it was a BTCC thing or. But it seems like they were capable and they had a following.
Yeah.
I think
was that showroom stock or something? I can't remember.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think they were raced in showroom stock with SEC, but I also think they were ran in whatever iteration of the Speed Vision World Challenge was at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can vaguely remember that. With the MX-6s out there, and that was the same time, like right before the Integras came in and started dominating everything. But I think, did they run the V6s then? They may have, but that's.
Yeah. I'm looking now. They had a GTU car, which is pretty awesome.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Man, that thing. Yeah,
so it was an
IMSA
class car.
Full on wide body.
Whoa.
See? Yeah, there you go.
That's cool. Pretty cool.
So basically, people are buying a car with real heritage, man. Motorsport DNA somehow.
Indirectly. Also, it's basically a Mustang.
Yeah,
I mean, this
GT.
It's basically a Mustang. The '89 Probe was supposed to be a Mustang. So
it was supposed to be with the and then the Mustang was supposed to disappear, and that was supposed to be the Mustang, right?
Yep.
I was like,
that was
So the first gen car, I'm less stoked on. I really like your generation. Like that body style is really cool. I think it's. I mean, if your paint was pristine, I think I would even maybe bid myself, right, Lane? But I love that color. It's a cool color. But that's awesome. Such a great shape. And the early cars,
it is. Yeah.
I used to see one near my house in San Francisco, once a week. It was parked down the hill, but they street parked the car, and you could tell it was in a nice house, but you could tell that it was parked outside since new because it was. It was a red car that was definitely different shades of pink now. Like the paint had faded so badly. That was probably the only Probe that I think it's the only Probe I've seen in the last 10 years that I can remember. I don't remember seeing any other ones.
No, I mean, totally. I mean, that's same thing with me. I haven't seen a Probe, 10 years probably.
How do you know? Were they just not? Were they not produced in big numbers, or were they just all crushed at cash for clunkers, or what happened?
Well,
I feel like I used to see a lot of the first gens when they were new. It was that seemed like a pretty popular car. I don't know, but
second gen started out pretty strong and then tapered off quite a bit. 97 was the last year, if I'm not mistaken, which is what I have. Mm-hmm. And I just remember from my youth seeing most of these got modded and got just beat to hell. I mean, I think that's maybe what happened to a lot of them is that they just fell, maybe after the second or third owner, they fell into the hands of somebody that just couldn't keep up with it because it's not an easy car to work on. I think that might be what happened. It ended up with people that just kind of gave up on it because, like I said, changing the timing belt is ridiculous. It's almost easier to take out the motor. That's probably what I should have done when we did it. Mm-hmm. But there's just so little space in there that I think people probably got frustrated and then just gave up on it and just deferred the maintenance until it just no longer ran.
So this is a Nissan 300ZX, the Z32. This is the same kind of deal, right? Where a lot of them just were just neglected because they were impossible to work on and inexpensive.
You said, it's the 928 syndrome. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably all in yards in Modesto. And
it's exactly like that. I literally bought this car for $300 and it was basically so much deferred maintenance. It needed a timing belt, it needed a water pump, it needed intake manifold gasket, it needed a valve cover gasket, everything it needed, obviously the engine's still, the internals were good, but so much of that stuff somebody just put off because it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what happened, and they're just not. Even now, there's not enough nostalgia for the second gen. I see a little bit of it for the first gen, but second gen, it's still kind of like douchebag car. Like really? That's when I was growing up. It always seemed like the biggest douchebag in high school had a Ford Probe.
Really? They're super cool. I think I really like the shape a lot. It's very, very early 90s, it's got the rounded shape and it looks very sporty.
Very Jelly Bean. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just it's like an elongated Miata.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and great, good colors. They had some really cool metallic colors, cool wheels. And I've never driven one, but I bring up the MX, or Lane brought up the MX6, but I recall MX6s even when I was in college. People were autocrossing those cars, and they were pretty decent, and because they have fully independent suspensions all the way around, right? Double wishbone all the way around. Isn't it double wishbone?
I have no idea. I'm an idiot when it comes to that stuff.
They do.
All I know is that it's purple. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
And drivetrain, Mazda, they've historically built good drivetrains.
Mm-hmm.
They're robust. They're not super powerful, but like they're reliable, like solid drivetrains.
Yeah.
Like so,
I feel like it had like 190 horsepower. Wait, was it? I'm not sure. It was a fair amount for the era.
What's the displacement?
2.5.
Okay, 190.
2.5.
That's pretty decent. Yeah.
I have to look that up to double check, make sure I'm not talking out of my ass, which I usually
kind of a lot. I mean, the same year BMW E36 had like 189. So which is inline six, 2.5 liter. I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Now I feel like I'm wrong. I have to look. Okay, it is 164 horsepower. Okay, I was wrong.
Okay. All right, it's not bad.
Okay,
but
it's not that.
I wonder if it's I wonder now. I'm gonna have to look this up later, but I'm curious to see if they responded well to mods. Right? You said they modded the shit out of them, so maybe they were an intake, header, and exhaust away from 190 horsepower. Right? Like as you said.
I think so. I mean, I still see on YouTube people. There's still people that love the KLD. KLDE engine. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw a 944 with a KLDE swap, which was so weird.
Interesting.
That's a weird one.
Do they sound good? How do those things sound? Like
they sound really good. Yeah. I love how this engine sounds. It's very interesting. Unlike it's just kind of like it's a weird like small V6 sound. I don't know how any other way to describe it, but I like how it sounds. It's not obviously mine has a couple issues, but it's not that quick, but it's quick enough. I'd say if you bought this car in the 90s, you'd be like, yeah, this is a pretty fast car.
Is it what's the red line on it?
7,000 maybe right around there.
That's cool.
Yeah. You bring it right up to the red line. It sounds awesome.
Nice, dude. I'm selling myself.
Art's gonna get one, dude. Art's gonna buy it.
Okay, here's what we'll do. I'll get it painted at Mako. It'll look slightly better than it does now.
Well, I've been talking about this is a topic that it's a recent topic, I should say, that's come up a few times. Is re-clearing cars, and can you salvage a paint job by re-clearing, right? Like,
interesting.
Because it seems like a lot of cars out there you see that are, I see a lot of E36 M3s especially that are like decent cars, even if they've got 150,000 miles, which is lowish for those cars. Right. They sat outside a lot, like, a lot of peeling clear coat, but like if you can just sand away the surrounding clear coat and then just re-clear it, and Lane says that he has seen that and has experienced through friends and stuff. And apparently you can really salvage paint jobs. So that's the thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never,
as long as the underlying base coat isn't like super tarnished as well, being exposed for how many years.
Right. Oh, that's interesting to think of just re-clearing a car. I've never even thought about that. I mean, I've been slowly working on just trying to clean up the paint on my wonderful little shit box, and there's a couple panels that are like in really, really good shape, and I'm like, damn, it just kind of needs a new clear over it. But then there's other panels that are not in very good shape that might have like a little rust spot on them. So it's like, well, I guess I would just have to get the whole car painted. But if it'd be nice if it was all in somewhat decent shape and then just re-clear the thing and then cool. Yeah, it looks all,
I made it all matched.
Looks all nice now. So
you painted your hood a while ago.
I don't want to talk about the hood. Yeah.
Is it a topic or a source?
Well, it's a funny story with me trying to paint something by myself in my driveway with shit falling on it, and it was,
you had to do it twice, right, or something.
Yeah, I did it the first time, and it was painted that way at the LA Radwood at the Peterson, and when it had the stickers on it, and it was bad. So I redid it again with like color matched spray paint, and it came out okay. So it could be better. So
what we could do is we could maybe see if Bradley Brownell, I know he's a wrap expert now. He just wrapped his Nissan Leaf. I have a feeling that maybe we should just send all of our cars over to him
and just have him wrap everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
there you go.
All fluorescent yellow.
It's all they're all gonna be fluorescent yellow, but they'll be wrapped very nicely. Yeah, and I think our cars would be a lot easier too, since they tend to be a little more square and not so roundy like that Leaf was. That was a hell of a car to have your first wrap job on. It was something as difficult to wrap as that Leaf probably was, with all of its weird little shapes that are on it and fish looking face and stuff. So
Daihatsu is probably easy too. You don't even have to take like lights off or anything because the panel gaps are so big.
Yeah, just throw it right over. It's like a big sticker. So
dude, that would be awesome, right? Like you throw it's like you basically like
group one piece over the whole thing.
Piece, and then you throw it in like a autoclave or some kind of shit where it just shrink wraps the car, and then you just right?
It'll be done.
You just invented the future of wrapping, all right?
That's what it's
there
like.
You go.
Yeah, just the whole car, and then you just go all around with the razor blade through on the seams, right? And then you just tuck it in.
Perfect.
It's a big laminator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. or like remember that there was like that vacuum like packaging thing that it was Ron Popeil, like you could
Ron Popeil,
for your steaks or for your leftovers.
Oh
yes.
I always wanted
vacuum
that
seal your car.
I'm like, I really want that. I don't even. I as like a 7-year-old watching commercials.
7-year-old, I got to seal all my steaks.
Yeah, all of my steaks.
I don't want freezer burn. Look at that.
I know. I put my peanut butter sandwiches in that thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. No, that would be fun to do. Just vacuum seal the car. It would be interesting to see how it would come out. So
what, you have any new projects right now, you guys, in terms of cars? But I know you swap cars so many times, Art. I can't keep track of what you're driving now.
Yeah. I haven't swapped in a while just because I'm all in on this stuff and with COVID and everything. But now I'm driving. So I have a 1987 E30 325 IS, an Alpine white car with a black interior. And it's pretty not very modded, just a little bit of suspension work and it's on stock basket weave wheels. But I did put a Euro rear bumper on it, and I tucked the front bumper because those have the diving board bumpers, and this has that big air dam that the 87 IS had. So kind of a unique look. I did buy like cool wheels for it that I haven't installed yet. They're in a 16 by 8 inch Ronal /ACT SX because they were co-branded in period for some reason. I still haven't been able to figure that out, but it looks like ACT was a performance line of Ronal, but sometimes you find that both brands on wheels and sometimes it's one or the other, even if it's the exact same design. Outside of that, it's just a nice clean driver. I eventually want to put a K24 in it. That's my goal. Japanese motor. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens. I really want to do it, though. I really do. Let's see if Rad For Sale kicks off here. I'll just, the goal is to have that pay for a shop. Because I was originally going to supposedly tackle it myself, but I barely have enough time to brush my teeth these days. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm just a one car guy for the last couple of years, really.
Yeah.
So I just have my 85 944 NA car.
And when did you? I'm sorry I missed this, but when did you finally paint that bumper?
During COVID. So
okay.
I rattle canned it like Paul did his hood.
You rattle canned that? It came out. Oh,
it looks really good. Actually, it's really shiny. I color sanded it and polished it and everything. And, so I did it pretty legit.
I'm sending the charade to you. You can paint the damn. You can paint the damn hood for me. So.
Yeah, it actually looks really good. But I just rattle canned it, and it definitely looks like a complete car now. I'm not as ashamed by it as I once was. And then I got some really cool Recaro seats from it recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Which are the Recaro. They're Recaro Classic. Fudge. What are they called? I don't know. Anyway, there's some Recaro Classic seats. But I bought them off a guy that bought them brand new in 1989.
Whoa.
Never opened the box. Opened one of the boxes and looked at them.
Wow.
Never installed them in his car. He bought them for an RX-7.
What the hell?
He bought them in 1989. They've been sitting in his garage the whole time in sealed boxes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Even with the Recaro, with the sliders for an RX-7, but nothing was installed. Seats had never been. They'd never been upright. You have to connect power to actually make them go upright.
Wow.
What the hell?
And they were just laying flat in the boxes. And then there was the other boxes for the rails and the headrests were in separate boxes. Nothing was ever put together.
That's crazy.
And a friend of ours, Forrest at Kugelworks, he does really cool parts for BMW 2002s.
Mm-hmm.
He had hit me up because they were in Santa Cruz area. And he's like, dude, someone needs to get these. And they were $1,500 for the pair.
That's not bad, especially with with everything behind them, with like them not ever being installed in a car. You find them they're always like 15 or more when you see them like these like used JDM parts places and stuff. There's like
they're usually recovered and stuff, and these are just like factory fresh, like perfect.
That's a deal.
In reality, the smart thing would have been to just sell them immediately for $4,000 or something like that, or save them for Rad For Sale. But I put them in my car, so I have those now, and just I don't know. It's like I feel like that car is like my forever rally car, basically. So whatever I have to do that car, it's not like I'm whatever I spend, it's worth it. It's just like it's worth it for what I do with it and having fun with it and stuff. And it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to drive well. And who knows? One of these days, I have thoughts of like doing now I'm on this trip of doing like the 5-cylinder VW swap in it.
Oh wow,
that's interesting.
Which is a pretty cool engine. It's a inline 5, sounds really cool.
Yeah,
VW Audi group, which is kind of neat. And they make these guys, Boosted Brothers, make a kit for it, so it's kind of appealing. You can get the engines for $600, and they with a couple mods you can. 200 wheel horsepower is super easy to get out of it, which is 944 turbo territory or a little more. And NA, which is cool, appeals to me because I like naturally aspirated car, especially in 944. I feel like the turbos are a little sluggish, not up high, but around town and stuff. And like on tight roads and stuff, I really like the way the NA feels. It also has lower gear ratios than the turbo, so that helps a lot. But and then, speaking of gear ratios, I blew my transmission a few weeks ago. So
great.
So I just ordered a used LSD transaxle, and right now it's stuck in Illinois because of weather. And it was supposed to be here on Monday, so I don't know. It hasn't moved, so we'll see. But so I have that being installed as soon as it gets here.
Awesome. So so both of the cars with a potential motor swap. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
I really hope
I run my bike around town right now. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, it works. Have you guys had swapped cars before? Have you done something like that?
I haven't. I have never had a swap car. Have you, Art?
Yeah, I've had Hondas.
Oh, you've had a bunch of Hondas. Yeah.
The Honda. Okay, yeah.
Hondas and Mazda and Miatas with swaps.
Okay.
You had a BMW E30 with a E36.
Oh yeah, I had an E30 M3 with an E36 M3 engine in it. Yeah, as well. So that's the S50 motor.
That'll do.
And probably more. I just can't remember off the top of my head. There's other rally cars. But yeah,
but those are all brand for brand swaps, right? Or was the Mazda?
Yeah, no, the Miatas had later engines, so I had like
an MB motor and
okay,
exactly,
okay.
Yeah.
But you never had like a Honda motor in a BMW or something.
No, or like an LS or anything like that in something.
I'm a huge fan of the wrong motor in a car just because it pisses people off.
Yeah, it's I really don't care. Yeah, it's like it definitely, you're seeking something specific. I don't do it just to piss people off, but it's like I'm looking for better weight distribution and better driving dynamics and better driving characteristics. With the K24, it's like it's a total no-brainer. I mean, it's you're looking at, if you're familiar with E30s, it's E30 M3 Sport Evolution territory in terms of power, like 250 horsepower and about a little bit less torque, but somewhere around there. And it's much lighter than an S14, which is what the E30 M3 had. And it sits further back. It's got it's a Honda. It's, super easy to buy parts. It's pretty reliable. And, it makes peak horsepower at 8,000 RPM, and it makes more torque at at 3,000 RPM than the S14 does. So it's it's all positive, all bonuses, and luckily there's a few companies out there now that build, swap kits that basically allow you to reuse the stock subframe. So all you're changing are motor mounts, and you need to change the oil pump and the oil pan and a few things on the motor. And the intake manifold is different, but that's all included in the kit. And there's two companies now that offer a complete plug-and-play harness, so like a jumper harness that you plug the engine to your existing E30 harness. So it's almost as easy as it can get, right? So it's totally appealing and worth it. It's just money and time, right? So I don't know. It's definitely really, really interesting to me, and I hope to do it this year. I've been talking about it for like 6 months now, but it's just I haven't made much progress.
It's out there in the ether. I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying maybe someday it'll happen.
Yeah, I really hope Lane does though. That's
full on. Like,
yeah, I'm committed at least mentally right now. Right, I haven't forked out much money for it, but
I think for in my case, it's always been a lot of people do LS swaps and 944s, and it's cool, whatever. But like, then it's like just buy a Corvette or something. I don't know. It kind of goes against the ethos of what that car is to me. Where I like I don't know. I want an NA, kind of lower displacement, 4-cylinder or something like that. And then there's a lot of 1.8 T kits as well. But then you're getting into like a turbo, kind of a modern turbo car. That gives a totally different experience too. So I think just having an NA 5-cylinder would be a really cool thing. It's like the first one that's really like caught my attention. I'm like, oh, that would be pretty rad, and just the price, right? Like if I blow another head gasket, which I have done before, it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe I'll just like fork over that extra dough and go full on. But we'll see. None of those swaps are. I think it's always kind of like, well, it's this easy, and it's so basic, and there's always a little hiccups and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
And I know I'm not the guy to do it, so you have to find someone that's like wants to do that, right?
It's like, even if like all of the components are there, you will break stuff, like something's gonna seize, or there's always weird stuff. And even when the cars, it's so weird, right? Like this is like a common conversation in the 911 world, where people talk about like every car being different, right? Because like every car has been driven differently, every car has been light taps here and there, accidents. So like every chassis is unique, so like people get like super nerdy and like nuanced about how like each car is, even if it's the exact same year and model, they drive slightly differently or whatever. Like, but I'm saying that because even at, all E30s may not be created equal in that way, right? Like there's always some weird wiring thing, or like someone's fucked with stuff that has changed it. And like, so who knows? There's definitely that for sure.
Oh, crazy. That sounds like you guys have definitely done your homework, and it sounds like, it's out there in the ether, as you said. It would be cool. It would be awesome to see that. I love BMWs. I mean, I work for a company that messes with BMWs specifically. So like that exact swap I've seen before, and it's a pretty hair-raising little car once you've got that K24 in it. So
no, it seems fun, right?
Yeah, exciting for sure.
Very fun. Yeah. Very fun. Yeah. So, and the same with the 5-cylinder in the 944. It just sounds right. It just sounds cool.
Yeah, literally sounds right.
Literally.
Same displacement as the stock engine too. It's kind of cool.
2.5, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. It's crazy because I have a lot of ideas for engine swaps. I just can't do it myself, and I don't know anybody that can help me. So I'll just stick with what I got, I guess.
Yeah. I know. Well, with your cars, it might make sense in some of those cases too, just because the engines that are in them are kind of, difficult to find parts for.
Yeah.
Things like that. Right. And I think that's where it really makes sense for a lot of cars. 944s, for example, it's like, then you're getting rid of like the timing belt maintenance and stuff like that, which is that's the benefit, right? So.
I was just thinking, another car that I had to swap in, again, just an upgraded version of the stock one, was I had an A86 Corolla that had a red top swap in it, and Ethan would know what that is because it's the later version, it's the higher compression version of the 4 AGE, but it's pretty straightforward. It just got me thinking though, you could put a 20 valve in your Nova.
He's not messing with his Nova.
No. When I had the Prism GSI, I considered doing something with that. Like a 20 valve in that would have been pretty neat, but also it's hard when it comes to a car that's that technically, like quote rare, nobody gives a shit that there was only 237 Prism GSIs out there, but I felt bad about like, bastardizing this like one of 237 car. So I that's the thing with the Nova. Like I want to make it better on a back road. I want to make it better for canyon driving. I'd love to do another DWA rally with this. I'd love to do a DWA rally with my Nova. Cool. But it's like, I don't want to screw with it too much because there's how many are left, Mm-hmm. There's not many.
Look at this Nova purist over here. Like,
I'm a Nova twin cam purist. I can't do it. I just know that they made 3,000 of them, approximately 3,300 of them, and there's probably about 6 left.
Yeah, I love swapping things. It pisses people off. I'm gonna find a Nova.
Okay,
is it an SS? What is the model?
No, it's a twin cam. Yeah, find a Nova and swap it.
I'll also swap it.
It won't piss me off because I already have one. I guess the thing is, like, yeah. You're right. Your art is calling me out. That's valid. I definitely. I guess maybe I'm okay swapping cars that I don't really care as much about.
I guess.
But you're not even pissed about it. You just kind of feel bad about it.
Yeah, I feel bad about it. Yeah,
because you kind of want to do it, but you're like, yeah. You're like,
yes.
You feel like you need to keep it stock essentially.
I feel like I'm sort of like
you're preserving it.
I'm a caretaker of a Nova twin cam, and I feel like whether or not I chose it or not, I'd be like doing the wrong thing if I kind of mess this car up, Yeah. And it's weird too, because like, who else cares about a Nova twin cam? Maybe 3 other people. So it's not like I'm going to be pissing that many people off if I did screw with it. But at some point, it's sort of like an archaeological project, like to know that like you've done this dig. I found this twin cam and I extracted it out of the earth and I must preserve it. I just feel really weird about like, taking this dinosaur bone that I found and like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint it purple.
Yeah, for sure. So did you just say, was it the Prism or the twin cam that they had 236 units of, or they made?
Okay. So the Nova was of 88. It was 1 year only. It was 3,300. The Prism GSI, the hatchback in 1991, which is the one I had, they only made 237 hatchback Prisms. Okay,
but sedans they made more of.
They made a few more, and actually, I have owned 2 of the 237 Prism GSI hatchbacks because I owned one when I was young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so probably not. Like, oh, look at me! I've owned 2 of the. I'm making this sound like this is some amazing feat.
You're a connoisseur.
Yeah. But I think the thing is like out of the 237, there's probably 5 left. I can't imagine there's more than 5 left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I could screw that car up. It was a piece of crap. It was in terrible condition, but I still couldn't bring myself to changing it,
So I was wondering that because I kind of felt privileged to have seen one of 237, but unfortunately it was a sedan. So speaking of the red top, like when I was in college, and Lane knows this place very well, I found one in Moss Landing, and I was considering taking the engine because it's that high compression 4AGE engine, which has got more power than the early car. So I went and checked it out, but it was missing way too many parts, and they also had pulled the spark plugs, and water had gotten into the cylinders. Oh. So that was kind of the end of that. But it's kind of funny how they put that motor. Is that chassis the same as an AE92? Do you know?
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So it's for Lane, that's a late 80s Corolla GTS.
So the front wheel drive, the pop-up headlights. Yeah.
Or late 80s, early 90s, right? They made, what was that, till 93, 92?
I think it's 92.
92, okay.
Like 89, 92, something like that, maybe.
I think Ethan's kind of downplaying like the love for his Nova though, because when he brought it to Radwood Sonoma, whatever year that was, it got a lot of love for sure. I mean, people were like, I haven't seen one of those. It was one of those things. It's like, and people were like, did you see that Nova? Did you see that Nova? I'm like, I saw that thing. Cool. I don't know what you're talking about. But, they're like, it's a, whatever. So I think, a lot of people, it was, there's a lot of chatter about it.
Yeah, I mean it's unique, and it was unique back in the day. I wouldn't say it was like amazing, but it's. I think the fact that they didn't make very many of them, it got good reviews back in the day, and there's just not that many left. I actually went to the junkyard. Somebody told me that there was one in a junkyard a few months ago. I went out there, and it was just so sad to see one of these 3,300 cars just sitting in the junkyard. So I had to take some parts off of it because some of those parts are specific to that car.
Surprised you didn't take the whole car and mix there.
Bring it home. Hey, look what I brought home.
Yeah.
Hey, daughter, want car to climb on?
Yeah. Exactly. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but we gotta get Nova would be rad to have on one of our rallies whenever they.
Yeah, definitely.
And Paul, you got to get on there too because I hear you talk. Yo, sure, you could take the Fit. That'd be a great car for it, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Fit would be fun. That thing's an absolute blast to rip. It's not that fast of a car, so when I'm driving,
it's very fast. It's just like that's a momentum car.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I meant to say. Like, I can have fun driving that car 0.8, and it's still relatively within the speed limit and everything. So it's and especially I've messed with the car this past year and done some stuff to it. So it'll be it'll be fun.
Yeah, cool.
It would be fun.
Yeah, I did a you guys probably know, but I did a K car rally 2 or 3 months ago. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had. And we were going so slow, dude. But it felt like, I was like, for one thing, I was so uncomfortable driving this thing.
So you should probably clarify that it's not.
Yeah, let's just say not a US Dodge car like you.
It's not a Dodge Aries.
Crazy people are talking about.
Not a Dodge Plymouth Acclaim.
Yeah, it was called Japanese K cars, which is under 600 cc's or something.
660 cc's. Yeah,
660.
I saw that and I was just so like, they had the new Honda. Well, I guess it's still
new Honda X600,
660
or 660. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great looking car, by the way. Like. The refinement in design, like so much refinement in the design of that, like it's like kind of what's missing in a lot of American cars for me is like that refinement. Like they just like the slap a panel with nothing, no creases or anything. This thing, every little detail was perfect, and it had, intakes were actually real intakes, unlike a Civic Type R, where it's all blocked off and gross. And it was just a really cool car, like really well screwed together, and such a cool. For those of you that don't know, it's basically like a little K car, 660 cc's, and I think it's a turbo. Yeah, it's turbo or supercharged, I forget. And but it's kind of like a little mini NSX. Yep. So it's basically a Targa top convertible. So cool looking.
Mid-engine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really cool. And then I was driving a Honda Acti, I guess it's a crawler version, or I forget what they're called, but it's like the ones that are made for like farms, and they have basically lower gearing, and they have the 2 wheels in the back. So it had 6 wheels altogether. So awesome. One, and those wheels are just there for like stability or something. They're not driven or anything. It was an interesting thing, but I was so uncomfortable in that thing, and I was like really having a hard time like going from gas to brake with like navigating my knee around the steering wheel without hitting the turn signal stalk, which is on the right side. And left and all this, and it was just like so thrilling. And we were on one of like the narrowest, windiest roads around, and with cliffs on either side, and it was a real thrill ride. But
it sounds
like I said, it's like small. A slow car does not mean you're not having fun, because that was like
exactly
a blast. And I was behind a Honda S800, that black one that was at SEMA a couple years ago, like a coupe. And then there was a couple other K trucks. There was a really cool Daihatsu. What's that thing called?
Turbo. Wasn't it the Suzuki Alto Works?
Oh, Suzuki, Alto Works.
That was there.
Super cool.
Those are cool.
But all kinds of cool stuff. And
sounds like the rally of my dreams. That's what it sounds like. That's the kind of that would be the best.
That's one of those. If you brought the Fit, you would be like, like, whoa, what's this car doing here?
Even the shape, dude. What is that? A 1.3 liter? That thing's huge, right?
Yeah. No, it's a 993 cc.
Oh, 1 liter.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go.
Liter. Yeah. So
that's still a big boy for this.
It would have been front of the pack with them. So
so funny.
Oh awesome. Man. I guess I really need to think about what other cars I'm going to be buying at Rad For Sale. We got to think about, we got to do a K car rally, Paul. What the heck? What are we doing with our lives?
We need
K car. What are we doing with? I thought you guys were going to do like a K car rally, like a K car rally.
We talked about doing a K car or K car rally, so you can show up with an Aries or an Acclaim or a Dodge 600 or a LeBaron, or you can show with a AutoZam AZ1 or something like that. Yeah, it makes no sense at all other than it's just some stupid wordplay.
Yeah, they might be kind of the same. They might get through at the same time.
I think you're right.
They'd be faster in different areas, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
And one would be, I'm sure the Chrysler versions would be a little sketchier, actually.
Yeah, probably break down a little bit more.
yeah.
A little bit.
All right. Well, thanks guys for joining us. It's been a great discussion. And where can everybody find you on the internet? So let everybody know where we can find you.
So we're Rad For Sale on Instagram, radforsale.com, Radwood Official on Instagram and social media, and radwood.com on the website. drivingwhileawesome.com and at drivingwhileawesome on all social medias.
So many brands. So many brands.
Yeah, we're slowly trying to consolidate all of this stuff, but it's tricky. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Paul, where can we find you?
Well, I've got one thing and one. Well, actually, no. I have just Instagram.
You have 72 brands.
72 brands. It's Paul's Finest Hour at Instagram and on Twitter.
Yep. All right. You can find me at youtube.com/HelloRoad, at Mr. Ethan Tufts on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks
guys, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. It was awesome. And Ethan, congrats on all the new subs on your channel. I've noticed you're kind of moving up in the world.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of making a little progress. I'm pretty happy about that. Thank you. Yeah. I'll hopefully that I'll use that couple $100 that YouTube pays me to buy another shit box.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right, cool. Well, you guys have a good one.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.